pleased to be able to do so in person after an extraordinarily challenging 15 months. We extend a very special greeting to the military personnel and veterans who are here with us today. We salute you for your commitment to the security of our nation, and we salute you for protecting the freedoms we enjoy in this country every day. Thank you. And this year, we have to note that our armed forces helped us fight a new enemy in COVID. And so whether you were on the medical front lines or you were distributing the vaccine for all of us, again, we thank you for your incredible service. Welcome to all of you watching at home, whether you're here in New York, across the country, or around the globe, and thank you for making us a part of your Memorial Day. I'm honored to present our special guests, and I ask that you hold your applause until they are all introduced. President of the Intrepid Former Crew Members Association, Mr. Stu Gelband. Vice Chairman of the Intrepid Museum, Mr. Mel Immergut. Co-Chairman of the Intrepid Museum, Mr. Bruce Mosler. Commissioner of the New York City Department of Veterans Services, Mr. James Hendon. Commander, Navy Region Mid-Atlantic, Rear Admiral Charles Rock. And the 109th Mayor of the City of New York, the Honorable Bill de Blasio. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as our national colors are advanced, and please remain standing for the performance of our national anthem by Corporal Dana Raminsky from the U.S. Marine Corps Parris Island Marine Band. Present the colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, Saint Joseph's
Thank you very much. That was beautiful, and please be seated. On Memorial Day, we honor all of those who made the ultimate sacrifice, protecting our nation and our freedom, and we recognize how especially fitting it is that we do so next to this legendary aircraft carrier that we call Intrepid. Throughout Intrepid's history, 250 of its sailors gave their lives aboard this ship and in the skies above. Some of the brave men who served with them are here with us today. May I please ask all of the former crew members of the Intrepid to stand and be recognized. Thank you. The pandemic, tough on us all, has impacted our cherished former crew member community especially hard this past year. Following this ceremony, we will conduct a short remembrance to those we have tragically lost, and we invite you to join us at the west end of the pier by the Concord later to honor their memory. Intrepid, in its time of active duty, was remarkable. It was engaged in World War II, the Cold War, Vietnam, and the space race. It was decommissioned in 1974, became a museum in 1982, and was designated a National Historic Landmark in 1986. The ship continues to serve today. For 39 years, Intrepid has served as the centerpiece of the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum, an entire complex now, and now a leading cultural institution in New York City. In a typical year, more than 1 million visitors from around the world would come through our doors to be inspired by our one-of-a-kind artifacts, amazing innovation and technology behind those displays, and compelling stories of bravery, service, and sacrifice of the individuals who served on board. We reach more than 55,000 school children on a typical year, the majority of whom are underserved, and we teach STEM education programming. We provide sensory-sensitive programming for individuals with autism and cognitive disabilities, and we conduct accessible programming for those who are deaf and hard of hearing, blind and visually impaired, and for those with dementia in their families. And in order to help break down barriers and make the museum accessible to all, we offer numerous opportunities to experience the museum free of charge. We conduct a myriad of impactful programs for veterans and active duty personnel that provide a supportive museum experience for returning service members and veterans from all conflicts, particularly those with post-traumatic stress, with the aim of building community and easing the transition back home. And we conduct similar programs for the families of our veterans and active service members. But we all know this has not been a normal year, to say the least. We, along with the rest of New York, were forced to close our doors in March of 2020. So faced with enormous obstacles, we strove to continue to fulfill our mission and serve our constituents when they needed us most. The isolation caused by COVID created a critical void for compelling programming. The museum quickly pivoted to serve the needs of our local, national, and global communities by moving much of our existing in-person educational and family programs to virtual, while creating and launching new content for audiences to share. And for our veterans who were disproportionately impacted by the pandemic, we turned their programming into virtual online communities, facilitating and encouraging them to continue to forge social connections, which was so critical during this forced isolation. Through these efforts, we've been able to reach and engage with millions globally while helping provide educational opportunities locally. I am always so proud to be part of such a committed, Intrepid team, but this last year has shown a dedication second to none by all of those at Intrepid. I commend you, I thank you, and I am so proud to be a part of you. Today, we're filled with increased optimism. New York and the country are feeling closer and closer to normal. And we at the Intrepid are reopened to the public. In fact, it is amazing to announce today that we will return to a full 7-day-week schedule beginning June 21. And thank you. We have some exciting new experiences and spaces that are now open to the public. work that was able to be accomplished while we were closed, including opening the ship's pilot escalator, a little secret within the ship, a refurbished bomb elevator, and an exhibit of the ship's former photography lab recreated on the very spot where the original stood. Over the next several years, we are committed to opening more and more spaces of this ship to convey the full experience of life on board Intrepid. And now none of this would have been possible without the dedication of our trustees, our co-chairman, and the Fisher family who saved this great ship from the scrapyard. We are forever grateful for their tremendous support. And with that, I am proud to introduce a dedicated Intrepid leader. A longtime vice chairman of the museum, he was chairman of one of Wall Street's premier law firms for almost 20 years. He served for many years on the Defense Business Board of the Department of Defense and on the senior advisory boards of both the United States Southern Command and European Command. He has recently been serving as an advisor to many four-star admirals with respect to their transitions from the military to the private sector upon retirement. He is a recipient of the Exceptional Public Service Medal, amongst the highest civilian awards of the Secretary of Defense. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Mel Irmagut.
Memorial Day is our annual holiday for remembering those who have died while serving their country as a member of our armed forces. We are truly fortunate today to have as our Memorial Day speaker on Intrepid, Rear Admiral Charles Rock, the Commander, Navy Region Mid-Atlantic, which includes responsibility for Naval Air Station Norfolk, the largest naval facility in the world. This has been an extraordinarily difficult year, globally and domestically, from so many different perspectives. Obviously, it's been overshadowed in every way by the pandemic, which continues to ravage significant portions of the world. We're even seeing the impact of it here today, with only about 20% of our normal 1,000 people attending our ceremony here, because that's all that we basically can do with COVID protocols. International concerns, in addition to health concerns, have prompted all sorts of national security issues facing our country, including the emergence of China as a particularly aggressive military rival now, as well as its traditional business borderline behavior, Russia as a state sponsor of cyber terrorism, Iran fomenting direct and proxy wars, causing us all sorts of dilemmas in the Middle East. And then there's the domestic front, where divisive politics, increasingly difficult race relations, issues of inequality in general, have become perhaps the front and center issue for the country to be dealing with right now. All of those difficult issues, COVID, national security, domestic dilemmas, make our military as important now as it has been in any time in our history. Intrepid is, besides Grant's Tomb, basically the only major military installation in New York. Memorial Day is our most solemn day, commemorating as it does those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in defending our country. It's therefore inspiring to have as our speaker on this Memorial Day, alongside this great ship Intrepid, a leader like Rear Admiral Rock, who I've had the pleasure of knowing for several years now. He's a truly fitting speaker for today because his responsibilities touch all of those concerns that I mentioned: health, national security, and a host of domestic issues. Chip has a bachelor's degree from Texas A&M, where he was commissioned through Naval ROTC, and a master's degree from the National War College. His lengthy career at sea includes assignments on Malin Tisdale, Cole, Leyte Gulf, Swift, and Donald Cook. His shore assignments include tours in Naval District Washington, Navy Installation Command, and on the Joint Staff. Chip is currently Commander of Navy Region Mid-Atlantic, where he leads all shore activity at 14 installations in 20 states. Under his command, thousands of military personnel have stayed mission-focused while dealing with COVID, keeping our sailors, soldiers, Marines, airmen, Coast Guardsmen, and women safe and healthy is obviously crucial over the last year and a half. In addition, keeping our hardware, our ships and aircraft, is another responsibility of his to keep them going. And lastly, Chip's role in the economy is another important one. For example, down in Virginia Beach, the Navy spends $15 billion a year to keep that economy growing. So Chip's work for all Americans, tirelessly and adeptly, helps us addressing all those key issues today. I can assure you that he is incredibly highly thought of by his peers, both in the uniformed services and in the communities. Sadly, we do not have Fleet Week this year to complement Memorial Day. We don't have Kearsarge or Iwo Jima or the New York to inspire us as we usually do, looking north. COVID has taken that away from us. But no matter, we do have our Memorial Day service to remember all of our military people who have given their lives so we may be free. We can carry on our ceremony even without the presence of our normally imposing ships. Today is a day of remembering. It's particularly appropriate to be able to do that remembering in the shadow of this great ship. And it's also particularly powerful for us to have one of our nation's leading military officers help us in that remembrance. So it's with great pleasure that I present to you Commander Charles Rock, Commander, Navy Region Mid-Atlantic.
I'm not sure I can live up to that introduction. Thank you, Mr. Emigut. Well, I'm humbled, absolutely humbled, to be here on this Memorial Day in front of the mighty Intrepid as we pause to remember and honor in solemn remembrance the long line of patriots who have given everything for the cause of freedom and liberty. Mayor de Blasio, thank you. Thank you for your leadership and for your enduring support of your military. The Navy, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard team, and really all of our military services, are honored to celebrate Fleet Week, albeit virtually in your city. We certainly look forward to returning in full strength next year. A special recognition to incredible leadership here for Intrepid. Ms. Marinoff, thank you. Mr. Mosler, thank you very much. Mr. Emigut, Commissioner Hendon, all the service members and veterans here in attendance, Intrepid, Growler, former crew members, honored, absolutely honored that you're here. It's a privilege for me to stand before you as we remember the lives of those who have answered the noblest of callings to protect our people, to uphold humankind's highest values, and to make the world a better place for our children. We also remember the sacrifices and acknowledge the enormous costs their families and loved ones have undoubtedly experienced. And to all of these heroes, we owe a tremendous amount of gratitude. Today, we honor those that have gone before us and to remember them. A key component of our nation's greatness lies in our ability to honor, appreciate, and cherish, through their memories and moreover our actions, all of those who gave their lives to ensure our freedoms. As you know, Memorial Day was enacted to honor soldiers of the Civil War, and it was celebrated near the day of reunification after the Civil War. Today, most importantly, Memorial Day is a time that brings us together when we find ourselves so greatly divided in so many different ways. Memorial Day brings us together to pause and to reflect. If you've ever known one of the fallen, known of the difficulty of loss, of missing your family members or friend, the empty chair on a holiday, the empty chair every day, and being able to catch up over a beer or over a sporting game together. A year ago, the very idea of standing here in front of all of you in New York at this historic landmark was impossible. In the last year, and even still, fellow New Yorkers, fellow Americans, people all around the world have lost their lives during the COVID-19 pandemic. And while not directly related to the purpose of Memorial Day, I think it is also appropriate to remember those who have lost their lives during the world's greatest pandemic over the last century. It was a difficult year for all of us, no doubt, but together we will drive towards a new vision of what it means to defend our nation. A few piers away, on March 20th last year, sailors, Marines, and civilians entered the city's harbor aboard USNS Comfort to extend help during the worst of the pandemic. Before they departed Norfolk, I looked into many of their eyes as they prepared for that mission. I did not see fear or uncertainty. I saw resolve. I saw love. I saw compassion. I saw hope. And that's a hope that still lasts today. I saw a microcosm of every sector of America united in one goal: to do whatever was in their power to help this city, a city that has always opened its heart to the men and women who wear the cloth of our nation. For some, Memorial Day means the beginning of summer, times for barbecues, to get away with family and friends. The happiness and freedom is a product of the real cause for this holiday. Memorial Day is a line across time that connects yesterday with today with tomorrow. America's legacy is a direct result of the sacrifices of those who have given their lives in service of our nation. Their sacrifice helped to build the foundation for freedom and democracy around the world and instill hope for a better life for all people. Those of us who serve today stand on the shoulders of those who have gone before us. We treasure the fact that we have their example to guide us as we carry their legacy on behalf of all of us gathered here today, and really on behalf of all Americans. Our nation is resilient, it is strong, and I know I'm not alone when I say that I feel that strength today. I feel it right here in front of the fighting eye. I see it when I look into the eyes of our sailors, our Marines, our Coast Guard men and women. And I feel that same strength in each and every one of you here today. President Kennedy said, "A nation reveals itself not only by the men it produces, but by the men it honors and the men it remembers." I challenge you today and every day to take a moment to reflect on the courageous sacrifices of our men and women in uniform, of those precious memories of a lost loved one. Of the reason why we're here today, for sure, it is my sincere hope that we recognize our collective strength as a nation, as Americans, regardless of our differences, and know that we are stronger together. We are able to celebrate and proudly exhibit our differences because of the brave men and women who continue to answer the call to service despite the risk of ultimate sacrifice. We're able to continue our mission because of their fighting spirit, the support of the American people, and because we are fortunate to have young men and women answer the call to serve. Like the 25 New Yorkers that I had the privilege of enlisting in Times Square 2 days ago. We proudly assume the sacred duty to remember our friends, families, neighbors, fellow service members for their actions, their sacrifices, and to tell their story. And there is no more fitting place to be than in New York City, next to Intrepid, as the museum's goal is to honor our heroes in uniform, educate the public, inspire our youth, and salute and honor those who have served. Those who have served, and most importantly, honor and revere those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. Remembering the fallen is the primary message of Memorial Day, but it is not about this one day each year. Today we remember and we reflect, but we must also remember to act. We must act as citizens in ways that honor and remember the lives and sacrifices and legacy of those who have died serving this nation. We must act and give meaning to this every day, because it is all too clear how easily we forget what Memorial Day is truly all about. Each of us must commit anew to keeping alive the memories and the importance of their contributions and sacrifice. Let us tell their stories, the stories of our fathers, mothers, grandmothers and grandfathers, uncles, aunts, brothers, sisters, sons and daughters, friends and neighbors. Tell and remember their stories that echo from Valley Forge to Gettysburg, from Belleau Wood to Midway and Iwo Jima, from the Chosin Reservoir to Quezon, from Fallujah to Helmand Province. Each of us can find a way to ensure that the legacy of our heroes endures. We must also help future generations understand that the act of committing yourself to your country and being willing to fight for freedom of others is among the most noblest of all endeavors. I'd like to conclude my remarks with a passage I found from Lawrence Binyon's poem titled "For the Fallen." He said, "They went with songs to battle, they were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end against all odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foes. They shall grow not old, as we are left grow old. Age shall not worry them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we shall remember them." Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for being here today. May God give us wisdom, strength, and grace to live our lives worthy of those that we remember on Memorial Day. And most important, never ever forget the importance of their lives and their sacrifices in the name of freedom. Thank you very much.
Admiral Rock, thank you so much for your words, for your leadership, for everything that you've given for our nation, for all of us. Thank you very, very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce the co-chairman of the Intrepid Museum. He is currently chairman of global brokerage of Cushman & Wakefield, and prior has served as Cushman & Wakefield's president and CEO. He is a passionate champion of the Intrepid Museum and cares deeply about the well-being of our military personnel and their families. He helped found Cushman & Wakefield's own veteran hiring platform, known as the C&W Military and Veterans Programs, which he serves as chairman. He is a member of the boards of the Police Athletic League, the Board of the Governors of Real Estate Board of New York, and Syracuse University Institute for Veterans and Military Families. He also served as chairman of the Business Executives for National Security from 2007 to 2011, and currently still serves as chairman emeritus on its executive committee, among countless other civic and charitable organizations. Please welcome Mr. Bruce Mosler.
Good morning. Thank you, Susan, for that overly generous introduction and for all that you and the entire Intrepid team do to make this a world-class institution. Admiral Chip Rock, thank you for joining us on this most important day to recognize those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our freedoms. And thank you for your thoughtful words. We appreciate your most important insights, and we appreciate your service to this great nation. I also want to take a moment to thank Mel Immergut, my friend and vice chair of the board of directors, as well as the entire board of trustees at the Intrepid Museum, especially my co-chairman Ken Fisher and the Fisher family for all that they do and have done for our men and women in uniform. Ladies and gentlemen, we gather here on a solemn occasion, a day our nation sets aside to remember those who have given their all. We would do well to remember the poignant words of President James A. Garfield at the first commemoration of Memorial Day on May 30th, 1868, when he said, "We do not know one promise these men made, one pledge they gave, one word they spoke, but we do know they summed up and perfected by one supreme act the highest virtues of men and citizens. For love of country, they accepted death, and thus resolved all doubts and made immortal their patriotism and their virtue." It is fitting that we're here at Intrepid to honor the memory of our fallen heroes, for Intrepid is indeed hallowed ground. Famous for her rich history of service to our country, she carried men and munitions in World War II, Vietnam, and the Cold War. So she therefore knew battle, danger, attacks, and loss of life, along with incredible acts of heroism by her crew. And thus she also knew ultimate victory. In fact, as you have heard, more than 250 of her sailors gave their lives on this ship and in their aircraft in the skies above. Intrepid, therefore, is symbolic in that she is a constant reminder that freedom is not free. It comes with a heavy cost and requires great courage and often the supreme sacrifice. So I would now like to ask yet again our Intrepid crew members and all those who have and are currently serving in our military to please stand and be recognized one more time. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your extraordinary service, one and all. Ladies and gentlemen, this year is Intrepid's 78th year of service to this great nation. Every day, Intrepid honors our heroes' sacrifice by reminding our youth that the nearly 1% of Americans who don the cloth of our nation pay a heavy price to maintain our cherished freedoms. Right now, even as we gather here on this most solemn occasion, 24 hours, 7 days a week, more than 170,000 of our military men and women are forward deployed around the world in harm's way. And they, too, are prepared to lay down their lives in defense of our cherished freedoms. They are, ladies and gentlemen, the thin line protecting the future that we want for our children from a present that could snatch away what we often, too often, take for granted. We remember on this day that their service has a very high cost, for which as a nation we must remain eternally grateful. We also this day remember our frontline workers, first responders, police officers, firefighters, EMT, paramedics, and yes, our Gold Star families, and the rest of our citizens who have perished during this tragic pandemic. Now, totaling more than 33,000 New Yorkers, 52,000 throughout the state, and over 600,000 Americans nationwide. So in honor of our military, first responders, frontline workers, and citizens around the country, I urge you today to please take nothing for granted. Take a moment and pause with me now to mark a special moment on behalf of those who keep our country safe. Ladies and gentlemen, because we know our national security carries a high cost, we must be vigilant and clear-minded in assessing our standing around the world. We, as a country, are at a serious inflection point in world affairs. The choice our nation makes at this time will undoubtedly impact generations to come. We know the world is asking for, and genuinely requires, our leadership. So whether it is recommitting to working with our NATO allies, or protecting the Baltic states from Russian aggression, or continuing to ensure that free passage is available to all in the South China Sea, or that we remain focused proactively to avoid additional tragic events from occurring in the Middle East, the bottom line is that the United States must remain front and center. Leadership means, however, that we have much work to do and still tougher challenges ahead. You see, in the final analysis, the world looks to us because we are founded on the proposition of freedom. And on this day here in the city that's home to the Statue of Liberty, where terrorists struck on 9/11, almost 20 years ago to the date, we must recommit to holding firm to our nation's ideals, defending our friends as well as allies, as well as promoting peace and democratic values. The Intrepid Museum staff and trustees are committed to the mission of recognizing and honoring those prepared to pay the highest price for our freedoms. We educate, we inspire, and pass on to the next generation both the hope and the responsibility that has motivated those who have served on this ship. This is our duty of care, our responsibility, and yes, our privilege. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce the leader of our great city, a friend. He is no stranger to the cost of service, as his father served in the Army in the Pacific Theater of World War II. He is committed to continuing his life work of building a stronger city, known for opportunities for all, while continuing his ongoing and steadfast commitment to serving a city that cares for our veterans. He stood up the first Department of Veterans Services. Commissioner Hendon, welcome again. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to introduce the 109th Mayor of our great city, the Honorable Bill de Blasio.
If you look around, the sight is powerful. You look around at this great ship, you look at the good men and women in uniform all around us. If you're like me, you feel very proud at this moment. Regardless of the challenges we've been through, there's so much that bonds us together. It gives us a reason for hope. Memorial Day is a day to remember the people we lost, those we know and those we didn't. But it's also a day to take stock, remember who we are, why we are called to higher ideals as Americans. I was very moved, and I hope you were too, by the words of a man I've gotten to know and a great leader. It makes me proud of this country that Admiral Chip Rock is helping to lead our United States Navy. Let's give him another round of applause and thank him. When I'm here, the moment gets very personal for me, because as you heard from Bruce, well, this great ship was in the waters off Leyte Gulf And off Okinawa during World War II, my dad was on the ground with so many other good men fighting extraordinary battles, doing everything they could to protect their comrades in arms, to win a victory for freedom and come home alive. And so when I'm with Intrepid, I feel a connection to my dad. May he rest in peace. And he would talk to me about the men he served with. I always saw a pain every time because he was starting to remember the guys that didn't come back. And I knew that it never left him. And I felt fortunate that he came home, although he bore the scars of war, both physical and emotional. But at least he was there. But I could see for him there was something, a hollowness, because he couldn't get out of his mind his comrades in arms that didn't come home, and he missed them. So today should be a day we all take very personally. And we should appreciate the Intrepid, Susan, Mel, Bruce, everyone associated with the Intrepid. Thank you, because you give for all of us that connection to so many who did so much for all of us, even if we never got to meet them. This place gives us that connection. So it is hallowed ground, and it's places like this that make us better, that make us reach our better angels. Now, this last year is indescribable, even for all of us who went through it. But I remember so powerfully that day when the USNS Comfort steamed into our harbor after we had gone through the worst. That gave us hope. I remember the men and women of our armed forces, the military, medical personnel in our public hospitals, saving lives, giving hope to our healthcare heroes who had been through so much, needed a helping hand, needed some inspiration. And I was there when they arrived at some of our hospitals in their fatigues and the feeling that finally the reinforcements had come and we were going to get through it okay. It was palpable, it was deep. So our military was here for us in our toughest hour. And all New Yorkers will always appreciate that. I hope on Memorial Day, we remember what was, and we remember the ideals of those who gave their lives, and then we recommit ourselves, because in the end, everyone here has talked about the challenges we faced. But we cannot let those challenges overcome us. We have to be better than that. The pandemic threw at us more than we ever could have imagined, but we did persevere. All of us as New Yorkers, as Americans, we did persevere. We found something inside ourselves. Let's find it now as we bind our nation together again. Let's find the unity that we felt in those moments, fighting COVID shoulder to shoulder, and take it forward, create something better. If we want to honor those we lost, let's create something as good as them, a place of unity and hope again. I do believe in that in this moment, and this Memorial Day. That's how we honor them, and that's how we honor our country. Thank you, and God bless you all.
We can see the mayor. That's perfect. He is the mayor. That's perfect. Perfect.
What an amazing story. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Yeah, I'm still here. 90% of the battle. Thank you.
sign. Excuse me. You good over there? Okay.
Put this over. So I should have it again.
You good?
What? Interviews. Okay. Your phone, I said be careful. Yeah. Okay, cable, plug it in. Yeah. Here's your phone, let me just give me the phone. Question on the phone, bro. Maybe, yeah, did you lose anybody? Or... No veterans. Everybody use blue. This guys here. Veterans. Hello. You at the press, huh? Are you a veteran?
I'm a veteran.
Would you mind answering a couple of questions for NTD?
Sure.
Okay. Would you step over here?